All right, welcome back to another special edition of the Sports Department Podcast. It is time for Bologna and Norman's Mock Draft 2.0. We're a couple weeks past our initial mock draft, and Jesse and I, we have prepared our own separate mocks. Jesse has alerted me. He has some spicy trades and some spicy picks to go over, and there's been no trades of first round picks yet, so we're gonna go, just 1 through 32, simple. News actually just broke a couple minutes ago. Deshaun Watson met with Texans' new head coach David Culley and reiterating to him that he does not want to play in Houston. He still wants to be traded. Rumors came out today that if Russell Wilson does not want to be traded, but if a trade comes up, he would accept the trade to, I think it was the Bears, Saints, Cowboys, and Raiders.
Yes,
I believe
you hit them all on the head. Yep.
Yeah. So that may be a storyline to look out for. Maybe he's using it as leverage to try and get the team to invest in an offensive line and an offense for him. But nevertheless,
With
we're
no
going to get right
first-round
into it.
pick.
But Jesse, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to break down some of these trades I got in this mock draft.
Hell yeah. I mean, do we even have to go over number one?
I don't think so. I think we hit it last time. We can. It's Trevor Lawrence. We
Trevor
both
Lawrence
have it.
going to Jacksonville. He actually just had his pro day. Looks pretty good. And then he had labrum surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's out like a couple months. They say he should be good for training camp. So
yeah, I think he'll be fine. They probably just went in and cleaned cartridge up or something like that.
Yeah. So Trevor Lawrence goes number one to Jacksonville, and this is where the draft starts. The New York Jets are on the clock. Jesse, I think we have the same pick here, so I'll let you take it.
I have Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. He is the one. He's the quarterback that's flown up draft boards. After national championship night, everybody thought, all right, Lawrence goes 1, Fields goes 2. And really, since the end of the college football season, Zach Wilson has gone from, being maybe the 3rd, 4th quarterback, a borderline top 10 to, I think he's the easy 2. As people watch more tape on him, there's just more and more they like.
Bleacher Report was actually reporting that some teams have Wilson ranked ahead of Lawrence.
That's dumb.
On their big board. Yeah, I agree.
That's dumb. You don't. For as good as Zach Wilson is, I'm sorry, you can't. Even if Lawrence is somehow a bust in the NFL, you can't deny what you've seen from him at Clemson. I mean, you can't.
In 3 years, too.
He's the best prospect that we've seen come out of college. You have to take him number one. There's absolutely no way. Even if Kyle Wilson or Zach Wilson ends up being a better pro, there's absolutely no way you don't take Trevor Lawrence first.
Especially because Lawrence, you have 3 years of fantastic production compared to 1 year of really good production at BYU. That is for Zach Wilson.
And people don't know what it be, how to make out a BYU quarterback necessarily.
Yeah. I think that I have Zach Wilson as well here. The Jets, the report came out, said that they're going to look at all quarterback options, all their pro days, all the tape before they start making a decision. That being said, I think when it comes closer to the time, maybe draft night, teams desperate for a quarterback, Washington, Chicago, the Colts got their guys, so you can rule them out. Maybe the Saints, maybe the Steelers, they're going to start getting desperate, and they're going to start maybe offering a little bit more for Sam Darnold. And I think if the Jets can somehow get a first-rounder, I'd be surprised. I think a second-rounder and maybe another late pick is going to be the deal. But I think you have to jump over that Darnold, really good prospect when you drafted him, hasn't shown really anything. Actually, he's shown some decent traits, but I think it's just he needs to change the scenery. And for the Jets, new head coach, you get your guy, your QB, and then you just build around him with free agency in the draft. And it starts at number 2 with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I agree.
So now 2 quarterbacks are off the board. Number 3 as of right now is still the Miami Dolphins, thanks to a Houston Texans trade. And number 3, I'm going to say I think Devonta Smith goes here again.
Oh,
I think this is going to come down to the Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, whoever the Dolphins like better. Tua's guy is Devonta Smith, and I think if you're going to build around Tua, you have to give him his guy. And it's simple as that. If you think Jamar Chase is by far and away a much better prospect, then you go with Jamar Chase, But I think Devonta Smith, with him winning the Heisman this season, having a fantastic year, and Jamar Chase opting out and sitting out, I think Smith is going to get that leverage.
I'm going Penei Sewell for
Okay.
Miami. I think it's the best player on the board, just overall, period. And Miami, they're picking this high because of Houston. They don't have that many holes necessarily.
Yeah.
And I think the holes that they do have, you can kind of plug later on in the draft. But a franchise left tackle,
Yeah.
or even like a franchise left tackle, an all-pro guard, an all-pro right tackle, you can put him literally wherever you want. Just drafting him can change this line from being pretty okay to being really good, because you slide everybody down a position, you're putting them in a better position to
Mm-hmm.
win.
Yeah, and they drafted tackle Austin Jackson the first round last year. He was a really good left tackle. So if you flip Sewell to your right, now you're protecting the blind side of Tua, and that would work. I think
Mhm.
it's by far and away clearly Sewell is the best tackle available, and he goes to number 3 in Jesse Norman's mock draft. So on to number 4. I'll let you take this one. The Atlanta Falcons are on the clock.
Now, for this, I don't agree with this pick. I don't think this is the right pick, but I think there's a chance the Falcons do this. Rashawn Slater from Northwestern.
Interesting.
I think the Falcons are going to be too loyal to a fault. They're going to try to run everything back again. And since they're drafting at the top, they're just going to draft a lineman, because you can always use really good, versatile linemen. And this is nothing against Rashawn Slater, who I think is a great prospect, who is probably going to end up being able to play guard and tackle in the NFL. Wherever he goes, he's going to be good. But the Falcons should be looking at a quarterback here. They
Absolutely.
really, really should. But I don't think that they're going to pull that trigger unless a team calls about Matt Ryan and is like, we'll give you a second rounder, or we'll give you a third rounder, or something like that. I don't think they move off of him.
I think potentially if somehow Zach Wilson is there at 4 on draft night, maybe you think about it then.
I don't think he will be.
I don't think
Honestly,
so either.
I don't think he falls past, at this point, I don't think he falls past 2. And that's not me saying the Jets are absolutely locked into him. I think if the Jets aren't, they would trade out of that pick and they would take advantage of somebody who really does want him.
I'm with you there. For my pick, I actually have Carolina trading up to number 4. Atlanta goes back to number 8. I didn't go into like what the specs of the deal would be, but I think Carolina is showing all signs that they are desperate for a quarterback. All signs. They've cut multiple players. They've been calling for Deshaun Watson nonstop. But I don't think as we said today, I think Houston is still not. They're not anxious to trade him yet. Maybe they'll wait towards draft night. Who knows? But I think Carolina trades up, and I have them taking Trey Lance. And one word you can say about Trey Lance is he's explosive. Now, if you don't make a trade, you can have now an offense of Trey Lance, Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore. That's potentially a really, really efficient offense. It's going to be determined who Carolina likes better, Lance or Fields. I feel like that's the biggest debate going on now. Who's the better of those two prospects? But I just think the raw upside of Trey Lance, you have his arm, you have his running ability, you have his accuracy. I just think that would work better for Matt Rule, and I think they need to trade up for him. If not, you have a chance that the best quarterback at your board, if you stick a number 8, would be Mac Jones, which you're not taking him that high. So I think they go up and get Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I think Carolina and Trey Lance make a lot of sense when you put them together. And they clearly want to get off of Bridgewater. I think the Deshaun Watson trade is interesting. They're still, as of right now, my favorite to get him, because I don't know where else he would really, who has the cap space, who has the picks, who has the ability and the want. Just from that standpoint, I think Carolina and Deshaun Watson make the most sense.
The
But
only
no,
other
they need to go
team,
quarterback.
the only other team I could think of for Watson would be Denver, and that's
Yeah, and I think Elway struggles with trading assets.
yeah,
I don't think he likes
exactly.
to trade assets. And I still don't think he is ready to be done with Drew Lock, even though he should be.
Yeah. Moving on to number 5, it's the Cincinnati Bengals, and I have them taking Penei Sewell from Oregon. You know, you have Jonah Williams there, who's been injury prone his first 2 years in the league. I get it, but you can move Sewell to right tackle, and Burrow the guy was obliterated last year. The offensive line was piss poor. It was terrible. If you take Sewell, you sign a couple good guards in free agency, you draft a couple in the second, third round. Now you have a decent offensive line for him. It was hard to not go Jamar Chase here, but I think when you mix T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. And if you could sign a good free agent wide receiver, I'd rather have the offensive line, in my opinion. So I have them taking Sewell.
I agree. I think they would love to go offensive line here. However, in my mock draft, because Atlanta reached for Rashawn Slater and Sewell's off the board, I do have them going Jamar Chase. It makes sense, the LSU connection. But again, I think they would love to go lineman here, but they can't, especially with those guys off the board. So you go out and get the receiver. AJ Green's gone. You're not bringing him back. T. Higgins and Boyd, like you said, they're good. Boyd is probably one of the better slot receivers in the NFL, and he's not even really talked about as much.
Yeah.
And T. Higgins is a legit, big physical receiver. Now you throw Jamar Chase and you have the route runner and the explosive athlete. That's a very good. It's a very good offensive unit. And then you can always go lineman in the second and third. If they go Jamar Chase first round, I think you have to go tackle, guard, and another and probably another guard second, third, fourth round. You don't touch anything else besides those positions.
I'm still kind of fringe on the Bengals because I don't trust Zach Taylor, but 29-year-old head coach, I don't really know about that. So, but the Bengals are done, and moving on to number 6. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting, I think, for the Norman mock draft. So I'll let you have your fun with this.
All right. So this is I think the easiest trade to follow. So the Philadelphia Eagles trade number 6 to the New York Jets for number 23 and for quarterback Sam Darnold.
Wow.
There are reports out there for what feels like multiple days in a row that the Eagles are interested in quarterbacks. They're looking at all of their options. They are doing all their homework on all of the quarterbacks in the draft. This way, they get a quarterback on their roster. They have the competitiveness that they so badly want for Jalen Hurts, and they want to just ruin that kid's confidence. So the New York Jets take advantage of it, and this is probably the most they can get for Darnold. They're moving up 17 picks in the first round, and that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, they're flipping picks, and they're getting out of the Darnold sweepstakes, and in mine, they're going Devontae Smith. You just drafted Zach Wilson, number 2. Give him a number 1 wide receiver. Help him out as much as possible. Possibly the best receiver in the class.
That is a wild trade, and I don't understand the Eagles wanting another quarterback. If that's the case, why'd you draft Jalen Hurts in the first place? If you spend a second round pick on a guy and you want him to be a backup, you shouldn't have a job. I don't know how
shouldn't
you
have drafted him in the second round. Why would you draft him in the second round? That's different if it's a 6th round quarterback. It'd be different if we were talking about Jake Luton, but we're not. We're talking about the consensus best quarterback in the draft last year that fell.
Yeah.
This was the guy that we were like, he could be a really good. He's kind of like Trey Lance this year. Not with the stature, with the draft stock, but could he be good? Maybe. Could he be bad? Maybe. He's a dice roll. But the Eagles took that in the second round, and now they're just hell-bent on getting another quarterback. And I understand wanting competition and wanting a guy to push Hurts. Get that in a veteran guy.
Yeah.
Get that in a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Get that in a guy that, even if he comes in and starts, 5-6 games, it's not going to absolutely destroy Jalen Hurts' confidence.
Yeah. I see where you're going. And speaking of wide receiver ones, I have Jamar Chase on my board still. So I have the Eagles just going all after him, getting Hurts his guy, giving him all the weapons he needs, because Hurts looked really good last year with no weapons at all. And
Yeah.
if you can get him a good number one, you have Miles Sanders there. Probably going to trade Zach Ertz. You come back with a healthy offensive line. The pieces are there, and Jalen Hurts has shown that he can be a serviceable quarterback. He looked really good rushing the ball, throwing the ball. I know he went 0-3, but we all know what happened in the Washington game. They should have they played the Cardinals neck and neck down to one of the last drives. So I think the Eagles, I think this is all smokescreen potentially. Maybe they want to trade back, and a team that's quarterback needy wants to trade up. Who knows? But I think it's all smokescreen. I have them taking Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I think that's a great fit for them too. They definitively need a wide receiver or a linebacker. At number 6, I think linebacker's probably too high for this draft, especially with the character concerns for Parsons, who I think was the easy number 1 linebacker in the draft. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and speaking of number 7 with the Detroit Lions, I actually have them going Micah Parsons. I think they need a difference maker on defense. You're talking about, we know the character issues, but look at their coach. The guy is a psychopath.
Yeah.
What other kind of guy would you rather want than, not calling Parsons a psychopath, but on the field, his play is incredible. So if you're the Lions, bring him in and let him be the leader of your defense. I don't think they're looking quarterback here. They have Goff. I don't think they're going to waste a pick on quarterback. Wide receiver potentially, because they have 2 pending free agents, even though I think Galladay is going to be tagged. So I think you get a difference maker on defense with Parsons, and you'll roll with that.
Hey, I like that for Detroit, but I don't have Detroit picking here. I have Detroit trading their 7th pick. Now this is you got to follow this trade a little bit.
Okay.
So it's a 3-team, technically a 4-team trade by the end of it, but 3-team trade initially. The Vikings trade the 14th pick and Kirk Cousins to the 49ers for Jimmy Garoppolo and the 12th pick. They then send Jimmy Garoppolo to the Patriots.
Interesting.
For their 15th pick, as well as a Vikings 2nd rounder. So at the end of the deal, the Vikings have the 12th and 15th. The 49ers have Cousins and the 14th. And the Patriots have Jimmy Garoppolo and then Minnesota's 2nd rounder next year. So the Vikings package their 12th and this year's 2nd for 7th overall. Whoa. And they go out and they grab Justin Fields. I think Minnesota wants desperately to get in front of Carolina and have their pick of the 2 between Fields and Lance. It really is who you prefer there. And I think Minnesota fits better with Fields. I think he's just the better overall thrower right now. And they have better weapons around him. They can ask him to mainly be a thrower, not necessarily the runner that Trey Lance is. But in this deal, the Vikings get their new quarterback. Hopefully in free agency, they'll be able to sign a guy like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or somebody like that who can come in and start maybe for first 6-7 games for Fields, and then you see what you have in him. The 49ers get Kirk Cousins, who we've heard that Kyle Shanahan wants and likes, and they still keep a first-round pick with 14. The Patriots get back Jimmy Garoppolo, and they get back those second-round picks that they like so much. And Detroit gains a 2nd-round pick this year.
Whoa. That's spicy. I've ever heard spice before.
It's a three-team quarterback swap.
And to that point, I mean, Cousins and Shanahan, they've worked together in Washington.
There was reports around a month ago that they called them. They were interested. So if you look at it this way, the Vikings are getting out from Cousins' contract while still being able to move up I think that
Yeah,
would be a great deal for them if they could get this to go through.
that would be insane. But it makes sense. It makes sense on all ends. So I'm with you. I'm with you there. So now we just did number 7. Now we're on to number 8, and it's Carolina for you. So who
Yeah.
do they grab?
Trey Lance, only quarterback left besides Mac Jones. I think even with your pick at number 4 when they had Trey Lance, I think Trey Lance and Carolina works together. I think it's a system fit. He's pretty much the exact opposite of Teddy Bridgewater, which I think is exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for a guy who can be an entire offense. They kind of want somebody in like a Cam Newton type role where instead of, these 2-yard dink and dunk passes, they are stretching the field. They're running the ball. They're hitting play action.
Yeah.
I think they want to go big, and I think the big play quarterback that is left by far is Trey Lance.
Yeah, and I actually have a quarterback going here as well, but my mock number 8 going to the Falcons, and the Falcons go Justin Fields. And you alluded to it before. They have to decide if they want to keep the Matt Ryan era. If not, you can still take Fields and develop him under Ryan. Ryan's not a bad quarterback. He's a veteran guy, MVP, and I think Fields could. I don't want to call them similar quarterbacks, but throwing style, I mean, kind of similar, and he can learn
Similar
from him.
stature.
Yeah, he can learn from him, and he can get traded whenever, and the Fields era can start with a solid team around him. So I think if you're Atlanta, I think you haven't really heard much of Atlanta. They're kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm.
No really reports going on. So I think they're working something up. So I haven't taken good old Jay Fields from Ohio State, which is another Ohio State quarterback, which is interesting. Gonna have to see how that one works out, because the last one certainly didn't.
I think
As you're
it's
soon to find out.
let's hope not. I think it's a good fit for the Falcons. If they do go quarterback, I think they should go Fields. I think it fits best with them, at least with what they've done the past, however many years with Ryan. Been like 13 years now? Something like that.
Was it 05?
I thought it was 07.
Maybe 07. But it's still a very long time.
Yeah.
So number 8's done. Now we're on to number 9, and I'll let you take this one. Oh no,
it doesn't matter. I have the same one as I had last time. I think the Broncos stay Caleb Farley.
Okay.
I think as far as I'm concerned, as of right now with Denver, I think this is kind of a locked pick. They desperately need a corner. They need secondary help. It's just Justin Simmons out there doing everything. I don't think they're ready to move off of Drew Lock, which again I restate as a huge missed opportunity. And while I love Kyle Pitts and I think he's still the best player available on the board, they already have Noah Fant, who's a good young tight end. They have so many wide receivers. They have so many weapons. They don't need anybody on the offensive side, probably besides quarterback. So they go with the best available defensive player.
I also have a secondary player going here, but I have Patrick Surtain from Alabama. This is a position battle. This is all preference as well. I think Surtain playing this season may help a little bit, and he's just a real big physical guy, and I think he would work well in that smash mouth kind of Denver defense in the cold. But again, Caleb Farley makes total sense. They desperately they just released AJ Boye, so I couldn't even tell you they're one of their cornerbacks now. So it's a desperate need. And Justin Simmons, I mean, they haven't even extended him yet. He's still on a franchise tag.
Yeah.
So if he departs, you desperately need it.
If he's gone, it's that secondary's a mess.
Yeah. So we both go with secondary there, and I'm going to stick with secondary here at number 10 to the Cowboys. I have Caleb Farley going here. Just again, Cowboys, they've kind of gotten not lucky, but they've hit on some decent third round, fourth round corners in the past couple of years. Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie, Trevon Diggs, but they still need that number 1. And the offense isn't a problem. I mean, if they re-sign Dak, this offense is still really good. Maybe edge rusher here, but I think with Farley, best player on the board, you go for him.
I think, and this is just me. This is just the Dallas Cowboys being the Dallas Cowboys. I think they draft Kyle Pitts if he's here. They don't need him.
Total sense.
They don't need him.
Sense, though.
I mean, they have so many weapons on that offense, and they desperately need defensive help. But I don't think it matters.
It is a Cowboys move.
It's the Cowboys. They take the flashiest pick that they possibly can, a top 10 tight end. Their tight ends are fine. Like, don't get me wrong, Kyle Pitts would absolutely be an upgrade at tight end if you count him as a tight end. I do. I think he's a good inline blocker. I think he can play the position very well. I think reports that he's a receiver, I don't know. I don't buy into that. I think he's a very good tight end. And they have a solid tight end core, but this really would just add another weapon for them, which I think they're kind of obsessed with doing. They love the first round position talent players.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb was a big example of that last year.
Not a need whatsoever.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I mean, and then he had a great rookie year, and nobody's saying the pick was bad now. I think that could happen exactly with Kyle Pitts.
I honestly never even thought about that, but it makes total sense. Funny enough. But speaking of Kyle Pitts, I actually have him going number 11 to the Giants. Now this, I've heard 100 Giant fans say how terrible Evan Engram is. Even him coming in when the draft back in, I think, 16, it was, this guy's not a tight end, he's a receiver. He's not really good at anything. He can't catch the ball, he can't block.
Hey, he's a Pro Bowler.
Gosh, I know. But I think Pitts would really help Daniel Jones, give him a security blanket. And you could run a two tight end scheme with him and Engram. You have Slayton, maybe you sign a receiver. The offense would be solid. So, we hope Giant fans will like this pick, for me at least. But I think Pitts could be a good one.
I have them going with a different offensive playmaker. I have them going Jalen Waddle from Alabama. He could end up being the best receiver in this draft. I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard a couple sources say, do not be surprised if somebody trades up or Jalen Waddle becomes the first receiver taken off the board. Everybody last year said Judy and Lamb, and look who went first. It was Ruggs. Waddle, depending on pro day, what teams see from him, how his ankle is healed, he could potentially go way higher in the draft than he's currently being mocked right now. But I'm going to take him at 11 with the Giants. That's their number one receiver. They don't have a number one. They need a number one. Daniel Jones isn't the quarterback of the future, but is Mac Jones really that much better of a prospect? Not necessarily. You don't reach for him just to make a quarterback competition out of that. Get Jalen Waddle. If the team's still bad and you're picking high again, you can replace Daniel Jones then. That makes total sense. I mean, Waddle is a sleeper of a prospect, and that's only because he didn't play much this season. But you could make the argument that he's better than Devonta Smith. He was gonna have the better season. That Heisman was gonna be his. If he didn't get hurt, Jalen Waddle is the Heisman winner.
Yeah. And I think it makes total sense. Now, moving on to number 12, I was lost in your trade. So who has number 12 for you?
Detroit has number 12 for me.
Okay. Number 12.
Because they have 12. They traded back from 7. So I have them going Patrick Surtain. I think there's a lot of good prospects left on the board, but Detroit really seems like they want to build up that secondary. They drafted Kuda last year, and now they get Surtain. I think they're locked in at cornerback 1 and cornerback 2 for the next at least 5 years. Now they're set in the secondary. I think secondary is kind of the hardest place to find those later round players. You mentioned the Cowboys doing it, but not many other teams can really find guys that are at the top of the game that you find later and kind of develop. And even by the time you do, most of the time they're due up for that contract, and now you got to dish them out a bunch of money. I just like this fit in Detroit. I think this really helps them establish that secondary that they've really wanted to for a long time.
Yeah, and him and Okuda could be a kind of a deadly duo. Number 12 for me, I have the Niners sticking put, and I have them taking Rashawn Slater. He's still on my board, and it appears Trent Williams is going to chase the bag somewhere else maybe, and I don't think the Niners want to pay him. So Slater paired with McGlinchey, that could be a really good tackle combination, solid offensive line, and honestly, even if they stick with Jimmy G, I think the Niners are a playoff team, and I think Slater can have one of those Tristan Wirfs type seasons. Play basically all snaps and not give up very many sacks.
Yeah, I had Slater go 4. Again, I said that was too high for me just because of the sheer position, unless you're a franchise left tackle off the rip. But Slater's a great prospect. I think the 49ers would be lucky to have him. Trent Williams is gone. He ain't coming back. He's chasing that money for all he can. So I think that's a good pick for them. Who's next? Oh, we got the Los Angeles Chargers next. I think we had the same pick last time. We might have the same pick again. I kept it. It's Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle from Virginia Tech. He's the best, I think, tackle that fits their scheme. You can argue Tevin Jenkins might be better, but I think he's a much better run blocking kind of guy. While Christian Darrisaw is much more downhill, can kind of do both. And the Chargers need help on the line. I think it's that simple. They're fine at receiver. They're fine on defense as long as they're healthy. They're good at pretty much every position, but the offensive line can definitely use some work.
I think on my board, number 17 from Bama is still available. And if this pick comes to fruition, I will hammer Jalen Waddle Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Him and Justin Herbert could be a deadly duo. You pair that with Keenan Allen, and you get a running back.
Don't forget Mike Williams.
Justin Herbert.
Don't forget Mike Williams.
Yeah, he's another guy. This could be deadly. And again, I'm kind of weary if Waddle will slip this far, but if he does, the Chargers have to gobble him up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or offensive line, and if the lineman they don't like, if the lineman they like's not there, Waddle could be fun there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I think the only reason I go Darrisaw is because I think they do have enough weapons. But then again, in the NFL, when is too many weapons enough weapons?
That's a very good point. So number 14 now is the Vikings, and well, for me at least, it's the Vikings, and I have them taking guy you just mentioned, Christian Darrisaw. If they stick with Kirk Cousins, you get him some protection. Simple as that. You have 2 Pro Bowl caliber wide receivers. You have a top running back in the NFL. You have a solid enough defense, good coaching staff. Solidify the offensive line. It's been your problem for years, and clean it up now. Simple as that.
So at 14, I have the 49ers. They traded back earlier, the 2 picks. And they still get on my board Micah Parsons. I think the character concerns might be a little overstated. I think the issue is going to be, not necessarily where does he fit in the NFL, because he can play 2 different things. He can be an edge rusher while also being a pass coverage guy, which is a good thing. It's just which is he going to really excel at? And I think teams sometimes struggle to take a linebacker really high if he's not necessarily that huge edge rusher from the beginning. That being said, I think the 49ers absolutely slam home this pick at 14 with Micah Parsons. I think that's a great fit for them. That defense is going to have people coming off the books pretty soon that are going to be looking for money. Fred Warner, Bosa in a couple years, they're going to have to prepare for. Arik Armstead, they're going to have to prepare for. The entire secondary, Jimmy Ward, they have a bunch of guys that they're going to need to kind of already start drafting to replace, because they're not going to have the money to pay them.
Yeah, and I think, Parsons and Warner behind a line of Bosa, Armstead, Kinlaw, it's deadly. It's deadly, and it could be shades of the defense that got him to the Super Bowl if all goes well. Richard Sherman, it looks like he's gone. So
Yeah.
cornerback might be a need here if they want to go for it. So I'm with you there. I'm with you. I think that would be a good pick. Now, who has 15 for you?
For me, the Vikings kept or got 15 in the deal, and they
Okay.
kept it. So they go Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They went up, they got their quarterback, like you said about them protecting Kirk Cousins. In my scenario, they're protecting Fields. I think they need the line help, not
Yeah.
necessarily desperately, but they could really use some help on the offensive line. Jenkins would be a great fit for them. He's a fantastic run blocker, and they're going to run their offense through Dalvin Cook no matter who's the quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you. And number 15 for me, I have a trade. I have Washington trading up to number 15 and Patriots moving back to number 19. And I think Washington goes Mac Jones. I think Taylor Heineke, he was cool.
Does the Patriots trade Jarrett Stidham to Washington in this at all, or
No.
no? Okay, I didn't know if you
Nope.
wanted a backup insurance policy in case.
I'll take Hoyer. No, but I think report coming out today from Washington sources that they're not likely to pursue Cam Newton unless they could pull off a trade for Darnold. I was hearing Mariota's trade market is gone and a release could be coming, so that's something to maybe look out for. But if not, I mean, Heineke was cool for a game. I'm not putting I'm not putting my franchise on his back off of one performance, even though it was against the Super Bowl champs. So I have them taking Mac Jones at 15, getting a guy who flashed this season. Devonta Smith was recently asked who's better, Smith or Jones, Tua or Jones, and he said Mac Jones. So this guy seems, Jones seems confident. He's a safe pick. I kind of want to say he's a safe pick. He's not incredible at anything. He's not terrible at anything. So I think it's safe.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones. I think as the mock drafts go on, the closer we get to the draft, I'm gonna start having Mac Jones trend up because I think NFL teams are gonna like him. I don't necessarily love him as a prospect. I think there's things that he could definitely improve on. I don't think he has pocket mobility here and there, but he also had such a fantastic line at Alabama that it's easy to step up into the pocket when your pocket, you have two, the best center in the class, and then two guards that are probably going to go in the first or second round eventually. So there's questions with Mac Jones, but I think as we get closer to the draft, he is going to trend up, especially because he's a smart guy who ran a pro style offense, and that Saban's not necessarily easy on his quarterbacks. And I think teams are going to like that.
Yeah. Just some news for you. I got the Houston Chronicle reporting the Texans do not plan to use the franchise tag on Will Fuller. So that's
he's gone.
The top receiver available on the market. Of course, poor Watson. This is just pushing him out as quick as possible. But 15 is done for us. Now 16, I have the Cardinals.
Yes.
And the Cardinals for me are taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Oh.
Talk about a Swiss Army knife here.
Yeah.
From a prospect. I mean, this guy can rush the passer. He can cover tight ends and running backs really well. He can cover the slot. He can play safety, or he could play linebacker. He had a multitude of snaps all over the field last season. And I think Arizona can use that versatility. You drafted a young linebacker with Isaiah Simmons. Didn't really play that much his rookie year. But him and Owusu-Koramoah, the pieces are there on defense. And you have your offense. We know that. But defense, you have to look defense now. So I think that'd be a good pick.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think the Cardinals, more so than any team in the NFL, likes those guys on defense that you can kind of play positionless between linebacker and safety. And Owusu-Koramoah is definitely the best guy in the class for that. I have them going Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. I think DeAndre Hopkins is fantastic. They don't really have another option.
I agree.
Bateman gives them a guy in the middle of the field, which they desperately so badly need. they have nobody to play the slot. Like, they have nobody to catch balls in the middle of the field. And Bateman gives them that. I think they should really be heavily on the lookout for wide receiver. They should be looking at probably trying to trade up for a wide receiver, maybe get Kyle Pitts if they can. There's a huge gap in that offense in Arizona where they cannot use the middle of the field. One, because of Kyler's height, and two, because they don't have any weapons down the middle of the field. And that's a problem. You're not going to be an elite offense that can win in the playoffs if you cannot move the ball in the middle of the field.
Christian Kirk is certainly not very good.
No.
Say that. And they have no tight end. So a wide receiver too with Hop and Kenyon Drake would make for a pretty damaging offense. So I'm with you on that one. That's a good pick. And Bateman he's a physical guy. He can go up and get it. So I like it. So 17 we're up to now. I think it's still the Raiders for you. So who do you have?
No, it's not.
Uh-oh.
We got one here, guys.
Raid alert.
Raiders send out the 17th pick. They send out a 2022 first rounder, a 2021 second rounder, a 2022 second rounder, and Derek Carr for Deshaun Watson.
Oh, baby. Look at that.
The Texans get a starting caliber quarterback, and they get three first rounders eventually, and 2 second rounders.
Derek can play for his brother's old team.
You're not gonna find a better deal than that. You're not gonna find a better deal than that, Houston. So I have Houston picking at 17, and they go Gregory Rousseau from Miami. They're going with the guy with the highest ceiling. They replenish their picks from the Tunsil trade with this Watson trade. So they're not in pick hell anymore. They're going to shoot for the stars here. They're going to go with the guy who is 6'7", just an absolute specimen. And I think a lot of people aren't realizing about Gregory Rousseau. He was playing basically as a freshman.
Yeah.
Like, this is fresh. That was freshman tape. That was freshman tape without training camp, really. So you can, get on him for things, but just from an athletic standpoint and just what he can potentially bring, he could end up being the best player in the draft, or at least the best defensive player in the draft. We're talking about a potential 12-plus sack a year guy for the next 10 to 12 years.
And they have a hole now at edge rusher with J.J. Watt being released. So it would make sense. The pieces, that would fit the piece of the puzzle. So 17 for me. I still have the Raiders, and I have them taking Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. They threw the bag at Corey Littleton. Don't know how much that worked out. And this is a defense. We know the Raiders. Even since they were even founded, they're a smash mouth type of defense, gritty guys, and I think Ojulari would fit that bill. Maybe you look receiver here because they did just release Tyrell Williams, so the receiver one would be Nelson Aguilar, or Henry Ruggs if he stays healthy. So receiver might be an option here, but I think linebacker or edge rusher is the way to go. And for me, I have them taking Ojulari.
Yeah, no, if the Raiders are picking, I'd probably still have the Gregory Rousseau or like you said, it's defense for the Raiders.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, they need to build that defense up continuously.
Yeah. So on to 18, Dolphins are on the board for me, and I'm taking Jesse's favorite prospect, Trevon Moehrig.
Oh,
safety.
I do love Trevon Moehrig. I do. He is one of my favorite. Oh God, he's so good. He's so
I know.
good.
And Miami, we know what they address receiver for me in the number 3 overall. Now you take number 18. Your secondary is good. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. You can maybe use defensive line or linebacker help, but Moehrig's here. You get a ball hawk in the middle. You get a hard hitter, someone to set the tone on defense for you. We saw so many rookie safeties make an impact last year, and I think Moehrig can do the same thing. I have him going number 18.
Nice. I like that fit a lot. Again, like you said, he's my favorite. He's my favorite prospect. So while Miami has this pick, the next pick is Washington. So Chicago decides we got to get in front of them. Mac Jones still on the board. We got to get in front of them. So Chicago trades up from 20 to 18. They include like 2 5th-rounders. They're only moving up 2 picks. And they go ahead and they grab Mac Jones.
There it
Chicago
is.
finally decides we have enough playmakers. We have a decent enough offensive line. We got running backs. We got a great defense. We just need a quarterback who can throw the ball. That's all we need. We just need a guy who can throw. And Mac Jones is going to be that guy for them. And in the draft, I don't think Mac Jones is going to be here at 18. I think he's probably going to end up going higher just from interviews. Like he's going to interview so good. Teams are going to love him. I think he's going to end up going up around like 12 by the time we hit the draft. But as of right now, February 25th at 4:00, him going 18 is okay for right now.
Yeah, and that would be a good pick, stealing him right from Washington. But they have the MVP though, Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky, even though he's a free agent. See, he's a guy. I don't know where he's going to sign.
I would. He might do like a Blake Bortles type thing where he signs as a backup with like a good team.
Yeah,
I think that's a definite possibility.
I think it's Jet.
I could see him being in New England, honestly, too.
That'd be interesting. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So now we're on to number 19, and for me, it's the Patriots on the board because they traded with Washington, and I have them taking Christian Barmore from Alabama.
Ooh.
We know Bill Belichick. He loves defensive guys. This is a team that's going to have to address the quarterback position, and in both our mocks, they don't get a quarterback. At least I don't know about your next pick. No, you had the whole freaking trade or whatever. So they have a quarterback in yours, but for me, they don't. And I think defensive line could be a big pickup, and Barmore's a physical guy that can play the interior. And we've seen Belichick obsess over these kind of guys. I mean, if you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, he skipped the NFL Combine to go to like some guy's like Middle Tennessee Pro Day. I swear, something like that. So Belichick, he likes these kind of guys, and I think Barmore's a good fit.
I also have Christian Barmore getting taken with this pick, but it's not by Washington. Washington decides, you know what? Mac Jones is taken. We don't like any of these guys. We're trading out. So Arizona trades them their 2nd rounder, Christian Kirk, and their 4th rounder. And they go up and they get Christian Barmore. I had him in my last mock draft as 15. I think his fit with Arizona is phenomenal. They are absolutely abysmal on the interior of their defense, and Barmore is by far the best interior defensive player in this draft. He is going to be an absolute impact. He's better than Kinlaw for me by far, and Kinlaw was drafted much higher than him.
Yeah.
So I think he's one of the best interior defensive linemen to come out in the past couple of years that I can remember.
And he kind of came on late towards the end of the season, if I remember correctly. But I like the fit, and we're on to number 20. And whoever's picking for you at 20, take it away.
I have Miami because they flipped. They flipped from 18 to 20. So I have them going Kwity Paye, linebacker, Michigan. You can always add more to the linebacking core. You can always add more edge rushers. Having Kwity Paye on one end and then Kyle Van Noy on another works pretty well for Miami. So I think this is a good fit.
They still have Andrew Van Ginkel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do.
Oh, man. What a linebacking core. I like that pick, though. I like it a lot. But for me, it's number 20, the Bears. If the Bears stay put here, I think tackle immediately jumps off the board. Mm-hmm. I have him going Jesse's second favorite prospect, Sam Cosmi from Texas.
Oh, I have him going next.
Sammy Cosmi, whoever you bring in, the Bears clearly fueled by their defense. Receiver might be an option here if Robinson decides to leave, but I think they're going to tag him, unfortunately. So he might be staying there for a little while. So now if you get a quarterback in free agency, you have a wide receiver, build up the offensive line, and you start with tackle. And I like Cosme. Cosme's good. This is a, kind of who do you like more? You still have Elijah Vera Tucker on my board. So it's all kind of preference here as well. So yeah.
I'm glad you brought him up. I have him going 21 to the Indianapolis Colts, Sam Cosme.
Yeah.
The Colts, Costanzo's gone.
Gone.
They need a tackle to slide in. They can either switch Braden Smith to left tackle. If they do, Cosme comes in and is immediately the right tackle. They can sign a guy. They might go after Trent Williams. But in this scenario, I don't think they necessarily want to spend that big money on Trent Williams that he's going to be asking for. And even if they do, he's probably going to miss games. So you might as well get a guy in there that can get reps while he's missing, and build him up for, the next year or two to be your starter. And Cosme can do that. He's played both left and right tackle at Texas. I think he fits perfectly there in Indy.
I also have Indy taking an offensive lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker. Tucker's a guy with a lot of versatility. If you decide, if you decide that Vera Tucker's better as a guard, you could switch Nelson to left tackle, which was something I heard that they were kind of mulling over. Or like you said, Braden to right tackle or left tackle, and you move Vera Tucker. No matter what, I think there's down to 2 picks here, maybe 3 positions. Offensive lineman has to be your number 1, preferably tackle. Then I think receiver number 2, and then edge rusher number 3 for Indy. Like I said, left tackle the most important. And especially because, we didn't say it, but they got Carson Wentz. We always know Wentz isn't good when he's hurried, when he's getting hit a lot, and Wentz is kind of injury prone. So you want to protect him as much as possible. And it starts at the blind side. So I think we both hit the nail on the head. They need left tackle somehow. No matter any way they can get it, they're going to get it. So now we're on to number 22, and I have the Titans on the board taking a guy you just talked about, Kwity Paye. I think the Titans defense could use a playmaker. This is a secondary that's pretty solid. This is a defensive line that whiffed on Jadeveon Clowney, and Paye, I think, has the ability to rush the passer. So a combination of rushing the passer and dropping back into coverage. You add a good run stuffing ability. I just think it's a good fit.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good fit. I have them go Azeez Ojulari from Georgia. Yeah. They need pass rush. They need it desperately. They signed Jadeveon Clowney for that last year. He didn't offer them any. Jeffrey Simmons Jr. gets some pressures. He doesn't finish with the sacks. They need desperately to get a guy that can get after the quarterback. And in this one, it's Azeez Ojulari for me.
Love it. I'm with you. So now we're down to number 23. And who do you have 23?
This is the Eagles. The Eagles from the 6th pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. They go.
Who are we thinking?
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Oh, good fit.
They love this, that he falls to them. He might be my best linebacker on the board. I might like him more than Parsons, honestly, just because of the versatility. He's a lot like Isaiah Simmons, who I liked a lot coming out of Clemson last year. He can play so many different roles for them, and the Eagles need it. They need it badly. So I think this is a great fit.
I'm with you. And the linebacking core was disastrous last year. And
as terrible as their receiving core was, their linebacking core might have been even worse.
Yeah. So his versatility could really help out that defense. But for number 23 for me, I still have the Jets on the board, and they're going to go and get a big target for their brand new quarterback, Rashad Bateman. I think it's a really good fit. You have Denzel Mims, who showed flashes. You honestly could put Bateman as your number 1 if you really wanted to. I think this is a Jets team that's going to throw the house at a wide receiver 1 in free agency. So obviously this pick is maybe depending on that. But as of right now, like you said, February 25th, I think Bateman's the best move.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I like Bateman a lot, especially for them. They need playmakers, plain and simple. Even if they have a new quarterback, it doesn't. No matter what, the Jets need more and more playmakers just to be. I mean, they haven't given Sam Darnold any playmakers.
None at all. I wanted to go running back with this pick, but I think I don't know why. I see Marlon Mack as a fit for this team, potentially Aaron Jones. So I think, and if not, you have pick number 34. So you can always go running back there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's when they do. I think 34 is a good spot for a running back. But also they have the money to spend if they want to go out and get an Aaron Jones.
Yes, they do. So on to number 24, and this is a special pick. This is a good one. We're going to let you take this one away.
It's never as exciting as you think it's going to be. It's another – I had him going Tyson Campbell last time. I have him go J.C. Horn this time. The Steelers – They love going first-round cornerbacks. They love going first-round secondary players.
Artie Burns.
Oh, my God. My favorite is what was it? Senquez Golson was a second-rounder. I can't even remember. He, didn't even end up playing. He was also, 5'9".
Jeez.
So, J.C. Horn, he's a big physical cornerback from South Carolina. They like those guys. They like big physical corners. Joe Hayden's probably getting cut. They can't afford that $12 million cap hit. Hilton and Nelson, probably only one's going to be back. Sutton's probably only Sutton might be going too. That secondary's a lot in flux. They need a guy. So they're going to get J.C. Horn and plug and play him.
I love the pick, but I'm flipping it. I'm going offensive side of the ball. I picked this position last time, and I don't have faith in James Conner. I don't have faith in Benny Snell or Anthony McFarland Jr. We're pulling out the big guns here. We're pulling out Trevor Lawrence's running mate, Travis Etienne. Explosive, elusive, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Something that whoever plays quarterback for you needs. So probably Dwayne Haskins. Probably Dwayne Haskins or Big Ben, whoever is the starting QB. I think a running game, you pair that, you already have a really good receiving core, even if Juju leaves. So running back's the pick for me. Again,
they can always go wide receiver in the third, fourth round. They always hit on those guys in the third, fourth round. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, all those guys.
James Washington.
Oh, they already have James Washington too. He's going to be good this year too.
Juju. So they love their second round, third round receivers.
Yeah.
I think I love what we did the Steelers now. I know 25 is Jacksonville. And in our mock, obviously they have Trevor Lawrence already. So I'm going to have them shore up the offensive line. I'm going to go Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I think by far and away the best center in the draft, one of the most, one of the strongest, one of the most physical, and you have.
Did he get hurt at the end of the year? Do I remember that correctly?
That was the center from Bama.
That was the center from Bama. Never mind.
I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Not Leatherwood.
No, Leatherwood's the tackle. I'm drawing a blank on the center, but he's the one that got hurt.
He's the one that got hurt. Yeah.
I think Humphrey though. Him and Lawrence could be together for a lot of years if they pull the trigger. They already have some tackles. You could always sign them in free agency because they have a ton of money. Honestly, this is a team I could see going after Trent Williams. So I shore up the offensive line as much as you can for your franchise guy, and I think Humphrey's the pick.
I think that's a good one. I have them going Jason Away from Penn State. They love pass rushers down in Jacksonville. I mean, they were called Saxonsville for a little while. I think they love first-round picks on the defensive end. Miles Jack is a really good linebacker, but is he giving you that much pass rush? Not necessarily.
No.
I think
Landon Dickerson. That was the center's name.
Oh, yes, yep. Yeah. I think the Jags can go multiple different ways here. They could even go a wide receiver if they really want to for Lawrence as well. But I think they already have some decent receivers. Jags could go in a multitude of ways here.
Yeah. Let's power through this. We're at number 26 now to the Browns. What are you thinking there in Cleveland?
I have Nick Bolton, middle linebacker from Missouri. I think I had this last mock draft as well. I think he just fits there. He's not the best prospect, but he has a great motor. He plays the hardest. He's going to be a great leader for that defense that I think they need.
I also have Zaven Collins out of Tulsa, another linebacker. Mm-hmm. This is, again, maybe preference here, but I think the Browns could really shore up this defense in a couple of ways, and linebackers one of the ways. So we both have linebackers off the board there, two of the best ones in the class. Down to number 27 in Baltimore, I think a receiver here is necessary, and I have Kadarius Toney still on my board. This is a guy that may fly up kind of towards draft, like we've talked about with a couple players, but if they can pull this one off, I think Lamar finally could have his guy, his throwing mate. Toney, I think, is 6'6", and he's got incredible speed, and that ratio with Lamar can be deadly.
I think Baltimore thinks they're in a better position than they are. I think they trade out of this pick, and I have Cincinnati trading up. I think Cincinnati gives them their second round pick, which is only 8 picks away. Yeah. They, tie in a 5th and maybe like a 7th or something. But Cincinnati goes up here and they grab Elijah Vera Tucker, the best lineman left on the board. They still need line help.
Yeah.
If Cincinnati, in mind, they go Jamar Chase at number 5, if they do go playmaker at the top of the draft, I think they absolutely need to trade back in at the end and get, one of those last guys that can really make an impact on their offensive line.
That would be a really good pick if that worked out. That's very smart. I like that one. Down to number 28, the Saints. We all know what's happening with them this offseason. So who do you have them taking in the Bayou?
I have them going Travion Moehrig again.
Oh, baby.
I think it makes too much sense. Marcus Williams is probably gone. A lot of their pieces are going to be leaving. This is a young, cheap safety that they have for the next 5 years that probably by his second or third year, you're going to hear him in all pro talks. He can play free. He can play strong. He can play in the box. He has ridiculous range. He is, I think, there's a lot of talk among positions and, who's the best at their certain position. And besides quarterback with Lawrence, I think Moehrig is the far and away best, at his certain position, where everybody, if you hear who is the best safety or who should be the first safety off the board, it is far and away Moehrig.
Yeah, for me, the Saints, I think they're gonna have to do a lot of cap cuts. So I think Teron Armstead's gonna be a victim of that. And I have him going Alex Leatherwood from Alabama, best tackle left on the board for me. And I think, like we said, they're gonna be losing a lot of pieces. So you're kind of just gonna have to plug and play and hope for the best, really. So we'll see what happens down there. Number 29, the Packers. I have them going Gregory Rousseau.
Oh, he slips in yours.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Packers take advantage here. With Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, a lot of them, they're great pass rushers, but Preston Smith has a capability to drop back in coverage, and Rousseau, 6'7", physical, strong, maybe move him inside a bit, and I think he could really rush the passer. Rush the passer.
I'm hearing that Preston Smith might be on the out in Green Bay.
Really? Interesting.
He's come up in trade talks. They might move him. They don't necessarily want to pay him and Zadarius at the same time, especially they feel like Zadarius is the better linebacker, but they feel like they'd have to give them the same amount of money. So in this scenario, I have them go Zaven Collins, linebacker Tulsa. They're kind of moving on from Preston here. Getting a nice big physical guy that kind of gives you what in the Preston mold, because I think they do like Preston Smith. I just don't think they necessarily want to pay him, or at least want to when they don't know their direction after next year with, who knows who's going to be the quarterback, who knows if they're going to be contending or if they're going to start to rebuild or what's going on there.
Yeah, Packers, whoever they draft, though, we know that they're probably going to be in the playoffs anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Number 30 for the Bills. This is a team that was one win away from the Super Bowl. So who do you think they grab?
I'm going Tyson Campbell, cornerback, Georgia. He's probably the best press coverage guy. And I think that's kind of how you should try to prepare for the Chiefs. They have a lot of quick receivers, a lot of shifty guys. They're going to lose Sammy Watkins, who's their big physical guy. You already have Tre'Davious White on one side. Try to build up that secondary. I would either go corner here or a wide receiver because the Bills are playing to beat the Chiefs. That's their one blueprint now that they need to mark out. And you're either doing that with more weapons or you're doing that by trying to slow them down somewhat.
I'm with you there. And I think, speaking of weapons, I have him going Naji Harris from Alabama. Potentially the number one running back in the draft, depending how you look at it, with preferences we've talked about. And Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, they're not cutting it. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. He has his wide receivers. Get him a run game. You have a really good offensive line already. I see where you're going with defense, but I think running back is the way to go. But a lot of teams are probably very scared to draft running backs high because you can get the same production out of a 7th-round guy or even undrafted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we saw Jerome Robinson last year with the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I looked at running back for the Bills. The thing is, I don't think they want to take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, period.
Very true.
Which I think could come back to bite them in the long run, where he might be gassed by the end of the season. Like a James Harden Houston Rockets kind of deal, like where he's just carrying the whole offense. But I think that's what they want to go into the year asking him to do. I feel like they think their best way to win is by giving Josh Allen the ball as much as they possibly can.
That makes a lot of sense, honestly. Kind of making me regret my pick now. But
no, I think the fit's great, but I just don't know. I don't know if they want to do that. Chiefs, I have them going Kadarius Toney. As I said, Watkins is probably gone. Demarcus Robinson, I believe, is probably gone. They need to reshuffle the deck a little bit. In the Super Bowl, we saw guys just not creating separation, not getting open. Tyreek Hill dropped some. Travis Kelce dropped some. But otherwise, Mecole Hardman was quiet. Sammy Watkins didn't do anything the whole season. And Demarcus Robinson was super quiet. They need another – it sounds funny to say with the Chiefs, but they need another playmaker for when – you're throwing double coverage at Tyreek Hill and you're throwing double coverage at Travis Kelce. They need somebody else to make a play.
I see where you're coming from, but I think this is a Chiefs team that obviously their offense is good. Defensive wise, I think linebacking core is their biggest issue. Mm-hmm. So I have Nick Bolton, Missouri.
Yeah, that's a good fit.
I mean, they're still rolling out Anthony Hitchens. They're still rolling out Anthony Hitchens. I mean, come on now.
And Sorensen.
Yeah. So I think if Bolton's there, they'll nab him up, and it could be a really good relationship between the two.
I think him and Tyrann Mathieu as the two leaders of the defense might really help that.
Plus Chris Jones, it's a good trio.
Mm-hmm.
On to number 32, the champions in the final of the first round. I'll let you start it off.
I have them going Naji Harris from Alabama.
That makes sense.
Leonard Fournette's gone. I think there's no way they pay him unless he's taking a discount for what he thinks he deserves. Ronald Jones, I mean, it's a when does he get hurt, not an if kind of thing. He's almost guaranteed to miss at least 6 weeks a year. Go out and get a number one running back. Run it back another year for Brady, maybe another 2. But you just won the Super Bowl. Don't take the gas. Don't let off the gas pedal.
Yeah, and we're speaking of guys they have to pay. Shaq Barrett's going to want a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think Buccaneers aren't going to want to pay him. So I think Jalen Phillips from Miami is going to step in and slide to be a pass rusher. My only issue with Phillips is coming out his junior year, still very raw talent, but with under a coach like Bruce Arians, and you can learn from JPP. I think it could be a very good relationship. Him and Rousseau kind of similar play styles. So if they could pull that off, I think that'd be really good. But that's your first round right there, folks. A lot of spiciness here in Bologna and Norman's mock 2.0. This is good.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
We're gonna have to, we're gonna be free agency. I believe starts March 14th, if I'm not mistaken.
Somewhere around there.
About 2.5, 3 weeks.
So just to wrap, right? The Vikings starting quarterback is now Justin Fields. The 49ers is Kirk Cousins. The Patriots have Jimmy Garoppolo. The Raiders have Deshaun Watson. The Houston Texans have Derek Carr. Was that all of them? I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was all my quarterbacks that switched hands.
Man.
Oh, and the Eagles have Darnold.
Yes, the Eagles have
Darnold.
Do you think Darnold will win that battle between him and Hurts?
No, but he puts on enough pressure that they don't, Hurts doesn't like the situation, just like Wentz didn't.
Hurts was pissed when they took him out. He was so mad in the Washington game.
I would be too.
Man, thank God they did, though. I'm happy they did. But that's all the time for the Sports Department podcast for this edition. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to us on all our socials at Sports Dept Pod. That's Sports DEPT Pod. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Jesse's going to be releasing his all NHL conference teams podcast very soon. But we actually do have a hockey podcast we recorded today, so that's going to be releasing very soon. I'm sure there's some wrestling mumbo jumbo going on, as well as an NL Central preview podcast. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Jesse, for taking time away from the horses to come hang out with us here today. And we will see you all next time.